A Florida youth football coach tried to stop the bullying on his team by making a kid run laps. And what happened? He got fired. Take a look.
Darren and Todd Kennedy said he'd first talked to the entire team about bullying, and when he'd heard that it happened again, he addressed the alleged bully in front of the team. The boy denied it, but Kennedy had him run a few laps around the field. And Kennedy says afterwards he praised that boy for running the laps without complaining, and he was surprised when he found out he was suspended for how he handled the situation.
Go.
Todd Kennedy was the head coach of his son's Durham Middlefield Falcons football team. 2 of his boys were on it. Last week, after he'd heard that one of the players was bullying another, he singled the alleged bully out to let them know bullying wouldn't be tolerated. But the Football League board didn't like the way he handled it.
He said, well, why did you feel you were qualified to handle this bullying incident? I'm like, well, because I'm a father.
Kennedy was suspended the following morning and then fired on Monday. He says the board voted unanimously that he could not continue to volunteer as the team's coach.
You start questioning yourself.
I'm so confused by this story. I have no idea why he was fired. And I don't know if it's a liberal thing or a conservative thing. I don't know if it's politically correct or insane. I don't.
All right. Well,
isn't that what coaches do?
That's the thing. When I saw this story, I was like, if you do something, regardless of like if it's bullying, if it's bad, if you're not hustling, coach just says take a lap.
Sure.
Now, I think what I would imagine was a situation is a parent of someone said that the coach, who's a volunteer, kind of got into our personal lives and humiliated the bully in front of everyone by making him run. Why do you feel like you should be able to humiliate a kid in front of everybody?
Can we address that this football team has a board of directors? Let's back up and talk about all of the ridiculous things that precipitate this story. Them having a board of directors and its students in 4th through 6th grade, right?
Wow, yeah.
Across the country, budgets are being cut for like after-school programs, but this football team in Connecticut has a board of directors, right? That's like a this governing body. Also, the fact that they did the interview with the coach in his uniform after being fired is hilarious.
That is sad.
Yeah. Well, and he's also the most careful coach in America because he will not throw that ball. Yeah. He's like, no, keep running the pattern. Oh, finally, you're open. There you go.
You know, I mean, you have to look at this. I'm not surprised they have a board of directors. Kids sports is big business.
Football
it is huge business in all sports. And you're right. Normally, the coach would say, take a lap. The only thing I can think of is the bully is a great player. If the bully's a great player, then they're like, no, don't. Like if his father is one of those, super sports dads or whatever and has power on this board of directors or something like that, and you humiliated this kid, my kid's the best player on the team. And actually, this is good training for him in his coaching career. So he'll learn by the time, if he makes it as a college coach, you learn that when your player's arrested for violence or stealing or something, you don't make him run a lap. You come up with an excuse and blame it on a lesser player. This is the best thing that could ever happen to this man if he wants a career in this coaching business. You understand?
Yeah.
You don't punish bullies.
I have a question. If you fire a volunteer, does that mean you have to stop not paying him?
It's not. He wasn't fine. He was let go, right? Like, I think that's the term.
I think the board of directors should have just made him run a lap.
And then fire themselves for making him run a lap.
Sorry, how could we do that? Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I think Alonzo figured it. I don't know if the guy's a star player or not. I don't know about that part. But the bully's dad is also a bully. That's what it is. And I know I played football, and there were guys like that. Like, you didn't want to mess with Smitty's dad. Like, Smitty was a pain in the ass.
Of course his dad's a bully.
I know, and Smitty would do crazy stuff, right? But then anytime you wanted to, like, punish Smitty, the coach did or anybody did, Smitty's dad would be all over him, right? Oh, what are you doing? Hey, man, right? And that's the kind of guy who produces a bully. And so that's probably what happened here. But this is getting insane, man. If coaches can't make you run laps, what can they do? Like, I'm so sorry I blew the whistle. I don't know if that got into your safe space or whatever. I didn't want it, but like, I literally don't know what he's allowed to do.
Yeah, they have to, and he said he wasn't trained at how to handle bullying. I think that's a good thing, that they should teach coaches on how to handle it.
And they're like, what gives you the right to discipline? I'm the coach. That's what gives me the
and
right.
it happened between players, right? So I feel like that's his jurisdiction, right? If something happens, if his players started fighting, right, would he not intervene in that situation, right? So if they're bullying one another in this context of football, should he have told their parents? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Well, he knows now.
Yeah.
You know, that was his training in how to handle bullying. Again, it's football, and that's what you do. You run a lap. That is the penalty for anything. It's like you fumble a ball, and the coach is like, okay, now you're going to carry the ball everywhere you go for the next week. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I better never see you. Like, that's how football coaches operate, you know?
Right.
And it's like, I better not see you at 7-Eleven not holding a football, you know? And that's okay.
So, does that mean that he should have, instead of making the bully run a lap, be like, compliment him. Tell him how nice his eyes look today. He's got great hair, doesn't he?
Man, everything's changed because the running laps back in the day was the least you could get.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm only running laps, right?
On the line was what our coach said. Get on the line. And it was like, oh, God, what did we do?
Yeah, and they would not let us drink water in the dailies, like in the summer before the season starts, and you do twice a days, right? Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't let us drink water. Now we found out through science that kills the kids.
Through science.
We should let them drink water every once in a while, right? Yeah. But like running laps, now if we can't do that, I just literally don't know what's left.
Probably through lawsuits, not through science. That's probably
I'm just remembering now, before practices, we'd have like morning practices, and coach would bring a trash can into the basketball gym, which meant you're puking today. Like, we're going to go hard. You're not going to keep it in. So he'd just bring a trash can in.
It was so different. I mean, when you're talking 20, 30 or more years ago, like what they could do to kids when you played sports. I remember playing baseball, and our coach he had been a baseball player, and it wasn't like he took anything off the fastball. You know what I mean? Man, we're nine. You might want to slow that down. No, that's coming at full speed, and you learn how to hit the dirt. You know, that was, now none of that is allowed anymore. So, and even to have youth football now is amazing, because most places now, they're not letting kids that young play football.
Yeah. Or bullying, even as a concept, probably wouldn't have existed, right? It would have just been Tuesday, right? Like, it wouldn't have been a thing.
Oh, yeah,
so.
Bullying just means you haven't punched the kid back yet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
the seniors bullied the sophomores. That's what happened when we were on the football team. And, they bullied you until I punched them back, right? And that was that.
My dad, there was a guy who lived down the street from him that, like, already, my dad went to that guy's house. Already, that doesn't happen anymore. But that guy taught my dad how to fight. And if my dad put his hands down, the guy would punch him in the face. Like, not hard, but like...
your dad is so old, he fought like this?
Yeah.
Like this. Like that. Put your dukes up. Anyhow.
Dukes.
Don't get me wrong. It's not like the good old days were so good.
We're venturing into...
Yeah. And so I also remember a friend of mine got into a fight in front of his house, and then he lost, and then so he was going back home, and his dad came out and kicked him and said, go out there and fight him again. Wow. So that's also the mentality that we used to have back in the day that was so stupid.
Right.
So maybe a middle ground.
Yeah.
If you're not a member of the Young Turks and you're not getting the whole 2-hour show ad-free, you know what you're going to be thinking? Don't say I didn't warn you. TYTnetwork.com/join. Go.